Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this fine Thursday morning? My name is Paul Pagano, and we are here live on Give STL Day with GCPA. And this morning, we have the core staff who's going to be talking about our work with GCPA. So first off, let me go ahead and introduce someone who's in the room with me. My wife, Lori, who is our managing director. Lori, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you, Paul?
Did you enjoy rolling across the floor for that entrance?
That was great.
Next up, we have our artistic director and education director, Stephanie Fox.
Hello.
Good morning, Stephanie. How you doing today?
I'm great.
Excellent. Next up, we have our marketing director, Ashley Blevins.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Ashley. How are you doing this morning?
I haven't had coffee yet. I'm here for GCPA.
It's a couple hours earlier there, right? 1 or 2?
1 hour, yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're able to be with us here. And you brought Noah with you here today, too. Hi, Noah.
Go GCPA.
And last but certainly not least, while these are the co-founders of GCPA, we have someone who we affectionately have deemed the founder understudy, Christiana Peary. Christiana, how you doing this morning?
I think you're muted.
You might be muted, Christiana. We can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
First technical difficulties.
That's all right. It happens.
Christiana, why don't you log out and come back in, and we'll get you all set up.
So we'll get Christiana fixed here. So what we wanted to do here this morning was give you an opportunity to kind of hear from our perspective what we were feeling when we started GCPA 6.5 years ago. What are some things that we really like about the work that we're doing? Knowing that ultimately all of the work that we do is for the youth in our community here in St. Louis. And we've got a pretty wide stretch of youth that come and work with us. We have people from Belleville and O'Fallon, Illinois. We have people as far north as Florissant. We have people all the way out west. We've had some students from Lake St. Louis come out and work with us. We even have a student who has come and done summer shows all the way from Columbia, Missouri. And down south, we've had students from Festus that come up and work with us. And so we really stretch all the corners of the St. Louis market. And we're really excited about the work that we do. Before we get into our conversation, I do want to remind everybody that right now, this is a power hour on Give STL Day, which means that any donations that you give during this hour, we have the ability to earn bonuses on that money because we've got a sponsor. Well, Give STL Day has a sponsor for this hour, and there's a $20,000 pool that'll be split amongst the donations that come in this hour. So if you're looking at making a donation, this hour is a great hour to make a donation. And if you're following us throughout the course of the day and all of our live feeds, every one of those live feeds that we have throughout the day is during a power hour. So those are great times to make a donation. So let's go ahead and talk, gang. So 6.5 years ago, we're actually.
Has it really been that long? Oh my God.
It really has been that long, you know.
Yes. Oh, look at us.
Feels like a lifetime ago, and yet it feels like yesterday. So we're coming up on 7 years ago when we made the decision to actually start GCPA. So gang, what were you feeling when we made that decision to say, yeah, we're going to start this thing?
I thought you guys were crazy. Paul and Ashley and Gabe were the ones who were chatting about it first. And they called Stephanie and I up and were like, we just had this idea. And I was like, okay, guys. That was my initial reaction. and then a little bit of worry and trepidation but this sounds cool type of a thing. That's the gist.
It was, I mean, for me, it was like, I don't know, is serendipity the right word? Or like there was just this like magical, like Paul and I and our friend Gabe, who was a colleague of ours at the time, had gone out and we were just talking about our careers and how things weren't going the way we really wanted them to at that point. And that quickly turned into this like dream storm of what the ideal performing arts organization would look like. And that was the moment for me where I was like, all of our dreams and ideals for something like this are the same. Like, sorry for Arwen's contributing over here too. I was just amazed by how we were all on the same page so much about what we wanted. And then that turned into, well, how would we even pull this off? And the more we talked, the more we realized just how like-minded we were and how like compatible we were to actually pull it off. And so when we started calling people and we were like Lori and Stephanie and like, what do you guys think about this? And I remember going home that night and talking to my husband, and even he was like, that could actually work. Like, that sounds like actually good. And the more I talked to people, they were like, yeah. And so just hearing that kind of like-mindedness and positive feedback for me made it feel so much different from like other just, brainstorming and dreaming that I'd done before. So I knew it was something special.
Yeah. Stephanie, how about you?
I was excited and scared. Name that quote.
Excited and scared.
Put you up on the screen if you get it right. Christiana, talk. Can we hear you?
Yes. Hello.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome.
But no, in all truth, I was excited and scared. It was a pretty big project and a pretty big undertaking, and still is. But we were all really excited about it, and I think it's paid off. We enjoy what we do, which is great. And yeah, so excited and scared.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's what I thought was particularly, and actually I'm going to use that word, serendipitous. I think it's absolutely a correct word to describe this, was not only the fact that we all were on the same page in regards to what this looked like and what we dreamed this to be, but also the fact that each one of us, we brought different sets of skills. Granted, we've got some skills that overlap, but we all brought different sets of skills that helped build the organization in a different way. And so together as a whole, we're able to cover everything that's necessary in order to run an organization. Well, to start it. And now as we're running it, we're continuing to learn new things.
We've taken on extra wonderful people to help, like Christiana.
And thinking of that, knowing that, we had a really great foundation. One of the things that we didn't know we were missing until she came along was Christiana. So Christiana, you weren't here with us at the beginning, but you very quickly became a member of the core staff, founder understudy for Fun Title. And so how were you feeling when you first joined the family here at GCPA?
And when exactly was that?
Excuse me. It was in 2015, I believe. I was coming on as a stage manager for Annie Warbucks, so that was actually a new venture for me. I did a little bit of stage managing prior to that, but Paul and Lori texted me. They were my acting and voice teachers when I was 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, very small. And they texted me. I just moved back from Springfield, and they asked me to stage manage this production. And I said, absolutely, because I loved community theater in St. Louis, and I love Paul and Lori. But when I first came on, I think I was excited, for all the right reasons. This new company in St. Louis that's trying to bring arts to the youth in St. Louis, which is something that I was passionate about. But I think that I felt really purposed as well, and I felt it was something that I needed, much like I saw that it was something that other students and people needed in St. Louis. Whether that was a home, whether that was individualized training and counsel, or whether it was a type of programming that wasn't being offered. And I think one of the biggest ways that I saw that right off the bat was just kind of this idea of finding fullness of joy in the theater, because I think as adult performers, we look out into that black sea of an audience and we feel really confident that we are going to touch someone because we believe in the story that we're telling. But students, that's not necessarily something that they always they know how to do right off the bat. When they're younger, how to identify why is this show that I'm putting on important? Why is this purpose important for us, for me to be a part of? And what I saw right off the bat was that we were teaching them, you guys were teaching them how to find that purpose. And we were having some really amazing conversations around everyday life and around using this story to change, to affect change and to bring goodness and peace into the world. And so I think when I watched you all do that, I was inspired, of course, and I was passionate about the exact same thing. And so what I just kind of dug my heels in deeper and deeper, and you all kind of trained me on how to inspire and how to help students to find that purpose in their performing. And that to me was just a reason for me to stick around as long as I have been. So it's been wonderful.
Yay.
Yeah, we are so happy that you're part of our team, and for many people in the GCPA community, you are the face for many people because of the role that you have taken.
Such a beautiful face.
Because of that role, absolutely. Because of that role that you've taken, particularly with the young ones, what we call our minis in the minis camps, minis classes. You've become the face of GCPA for them, and that's something that's inspiring for them. So as much as you have found inspiration in what we were doing, we find inspiration in what you're doing, and you're doing that for so many of our students. So thanks for everything you continue to do.
It's my privilege.
So gang, we all do very different kind of administrative work with the organization, as well as the artistic work that overlaps. And so why don't we take a minute and just talk about what are some of our favorite parts of the work that we do, both administratively and artistically. And Stephanie, let's start with you.
Administratively, I don't know. I really like getting to communicate with all of the families, especially with the youth theater company. The majority of the communication comes from me, and it's really nice to get to know all of the families, including obviously our actors, but their parents. Artistically, I don't know. I mean, I think I love all of it. Obviously, I love our productions. I love every piece of it except for load-in day. I could do without that. That'd be totally fine. But I think that what I probably love the most is our classes, and specifically our Wednesday night classes have a really specific kind of special feel to them. And I think that's because it was the first night. It was the first and only night that we offered classes when we started, and it's got a lot of students who come, and they're there with us from 4:30 to 9 p.m. every Wednesday night, and have been doing so for 6 years. And that family's obviously grown, and that's expanded as we've grown our programming into the other days. So they all are starting to feel like Wednesdays, but that's the day that I'm there all night teaching. And I think that it's always, I'm posting and saying that Wednesday's my favorite night of the week because it's just refreshing, and it's just a way for us to really connect back to what we're doing without it being so focused on the performance aspect that we're doing. So I think artistically, I would have to choose Wednesday night dance classes. which we had our last one last night, and it was very sad. So it was fun.
Ashley, how about yourself? What are some of your favorite things about our work?
Yeah. Hi, Katie, by the way. It's fun to see you guys in the comments. Drop some comments for us. We love to hear you guys say hi and interact with us. So when we started GCPA, I was the education director, and teaching has always been very near and dear to my heart. So I love being in the classroom. I especially love private teaching. So if you don't know, if you're watching and don't know, we offer private voice lessons, acting lessons, dance lessons. So having private students and getting to be involved in a very specific, individualized shaping of each artist and their gifts has always been a huge love and passion of mine. I also really, really love the little ones. So my heart is with Christiana as she does all the minis, because that's my favorite age group to teach as well. And I love now, so I live in Utah now. I moved away a few years ago. Speaking of other littles.
Good morning, Tally.
Littles. Say hi, Tally. I just one second, babe. I love coming back. So I try to get back every summer, or as often as I can in the summer to do some of the teaching of the summer programs. So I still love to come back and do that as well. Our summer camps and productions are super, super fun. And then as the marketing director, now I picked up marketing a few years into the organization. And I love it because I still feel like I get to be connected to everybody because I see everybody's pictures. And it's really fun to get all of the photos from the promotional stuff that we do and make everybody look pretty. And so it allows me to feel like I'm staying connected to everybody because I get to see all of your faces often. And get to do fun, creative things graphically to make sure that everybody else gets to see you guys and the work that you're doing and celebrate that. So I aside from being able to do some online teaching and to come back and do in-person teaching, I think it's probably the best thing that I could be doing because I still get to see everyone's faces and pictures and continue to just keep putting the GCPA face out that way in marketing. So,
yeah, very cool. How about you? What's yours?
Well, as the managing director, I work a lot with numbers and accounting in our bank account, and it's not that fun. But like Paul said, we kind of each had strengths, and I had spent 5 years in Minnesota working at a company in their accounting department doing accounting. So it made sense for me to do that. And I've had to learn a lot over the years. So that's one of my main things as managing director, is doing that side of things. What I love to do the most is the musical side of things. I teach voice and I group voice, and I think my favorite is music directing the musicals. That's my favorite aspect. I love working with the kids. I love seeing them just go even farther than they think they can, as far as, these intense, intricate harmonies. Like third show we did was West Side Story, which is insane as far as harmonies go and stuff. And that, I think a lot of people are like, you can't do that with kids. And they stepped up and they did it, and they always do every time. And it makes me so excited and so proud of the work that they do. I think one of the things that moves me the most, wait, is this the favorite thing? Like my
favorite part of our work.
Favorite part of our work.
Memories is next.
I'll wait for the memories. No, I will say that many times as I'm conducting the orchestra during our shows, I get choked up and I'm literally like conducting as I'm crying because I am so moved by the work that's happening on stage and how amazing they're doing, and so proud of them. And just also the connection to the orchestra, the band, and them, and just everything connected and everything together. And it just fills me. Just fills me.
Christiana, what's some of your favorite parts of the work that we do?
Yeah, so administratively, I think I would say my favorite part of what I do is I talk a lot with our families that are in our classes. I communicate with them a lot. And I think my favorite thing to experience is when a family comes to us with a specific need, and that whether that's they call us or they email us or whatever way they choose to communicate, and they tell us, you know, exactly what their child is looking for. And I'm able to place them in a class that helps them, or that meets that need. And then oftentimes, you know, I'll get like a follow-up email, or get a follow-up phone call, or a parent will stop and chat with me, and they'll say, you know, like this is just so much what so-and-so needed. And the way that we've watched he or she grow and thrive in this space, that's just warming to my heart, because you know, it's a direct affirmation that what we are doing is helping those in the community. And so I think administratively, having those conversations with parents about what their students need and how their students are growing, you know, that's just super rewarding. And then probably artistically, I think everybody probably knows I'm going to say this, but it's the summer programs with the minis, our minis show, and I love that for a multitude of reasons. And one of the reasons that I've been so committed to it through the years is just and similar to Lori, the amazing nature of students to rise to any challenge. Putting on a show in 10 days is out of this world. And for these students to be ages 5 or 6 to 11 and doing that, it just amazes me every time. And it inspires me to be more and be better. And so I think it's really one of the most rewarding parts of what I get to do at GCPA.
So what I'm hearing is we should add a 5th Frozen.
Well, you know, there's that extra 2 weeks, you know, before school starts now. So who knows?
Well, some of my favorite work as the executive director is being able to build relationships, because as the executive director, I'm also focused on the fundraising aspect of a nonprofit, and that's all about building relationships with our community, with our families, with donors, and so I just get to learn so much more about who you are as our GCPA family. What makes you tick? What are some of the things that you enjoy doing outside of theater? And just getting to know each individual. And that's a lot of fun for me, because then we're able to use that when we're in the classroom, and things that I learn about families, new things that I didn't know. I anticipate that maybe the rest of the team didn't know, and there are things that I come back and share with them that then we are able to use in the artistic work that we do. So I really love being able to build relationships through that administrative work. But then artistically, it's similar in the fact that we're building relationships in the classroom. Like Stephanie had mentioned, Wednesday nights were the first and only night of program that we offered when we started in the fall of 2013. 3 musical theater classes, 13 students total, and now we have over 40 class offerings and 300 students in classes, which is just mind-boggling in 6.5 years. But that first night, that initial night of classes, Stephanie and I teach similar blocks, so we're there together, parallel. She's got the dance classes, I've got acting classes, and it's just a lot of fun to see the growth and the revelations that our students make throughout the process that we have in our classwork, recognizing the ability that they have when a light bulb goes off of it, the way that they're analyzing the work and the text, and when they realize that, oh, this point goes together with this point that's later on, and now that connects everything that's going on. And that happened last night in one of my acting classes, and it's just so cool to see their faces light up, and the excitement that our students have when they make those discoveries. And then of course we get to see through additional classes that they take as they continue to grow, the shows that they're a part of, them using those discoveries in the work that they do in later classes and performances. And that's just a lot of fun. It gives us good gas, for sure, because we love those classes just as much as you do.
We have the best students, and I'll say last night during class, I teased all my students that they needed to sign on and give me some positive encouragement, because this is my first time producing, and the first comment that came through was from one of our awesome students. So I just had to give her a quick shout out. It made me feel so good. Question here.
What was one thing that positively surprised you during quarantine? Oh, that is such a great question. Thank you, Aliona. I'm going to toss it up to who wants to tackle that question first, gang. Stephanie, go for it, and then Christina.
I have never kept a plant alive for longer than like 6 days, and I've got like a whole garden of herbs, so that was really surprising. I almost killed the basil when I replanted it, but it came back to life.
That's awesome. So Stephanie found out that she actually does have a green thumb. Christiana, what's something that surprised you during quarantine?
I definitely saw that question and I thought it was pertaining to GCPA. So I could definitely do a personal surprise me.
I totally made it personal.
So I think I was talking with Miss Hope, one of our teaching artists, last night. We teach a lot of the musical theater performance classes, and we were just, I think, so pleasantly excited and surprised at our student response to the virtual classes. We were worried about it. I think we were kind of going through like, okay, how do we make this as rewarding and as growthful and as very as similar to live classes as we can. And these students just showed up, especially in our younger musical theater classes. These students showed up and they were just as excited and motivated and prepared to tackle our material as they are in live classes. And they went forward into it without fear. And we were just so proud of them for that. So it was really, really exciting to get to navigate this new kind of teaching, and to have students that are so excited about it is really a huge benefit to us.
I can piggyback on that too, because my response is kind of similar. Just as we try to move on online initiatives for us, from the virtual classes to the online campaigning that we were doing, like we did Everyday GCPA, where we had instructors and staff share videos every day with, excuse me, like creative things that people could do with us at home to keep creativity flowing, and to see the response from our staff to engage those videos, and also the response of our online community and our students was really, really fun to just see people getting creative at home, trying to find ways to continue to engage all that GCPA embodies, even though we're all stuck at home. That's been really, really fun to see from our community. Keep up that because we really love being able to stay connected with you guys.
Yeah. Lori.
Oh, I was just going to say that, like Christiana said, it was really neat to see the kids kind of enjoying themselves despite the situation. And that they still were being engaged, and I also, but then the other side of it is just seeing the teachers step up and come up with creative things, like Ashley was just saying, creative posts that we could put on not Give STL, that's today, on the everyday GCPA. And, you know, how can we make this class work? And let's brainstorm it and let's figure it out. And kind of realizing we have to approach things differently than we normally do for some of these classes. And how can we make this work in this environment? And it was cool. It was cool to see it all happen.
Well, let your downstairs neighbor know that summer classes are starting soon, and while we hope that they will be in the studio, we never know what's going to happen. So there may be more tap at home.
Ashley can answer this question. You're going to start one up where you are?
Oh gosh, you know, people ask me that a lot. Like when I tell people in Utah what I used to do in St. Louis and still do remotely, that's the first question I always get is, are you going to start GCPA Utah? And this is what I say to people. That we discussed this earlier when we were talking about how we felt the first night we started GCPA or whatever. This team, the combination of these founders and Christiana and some of our other core staff, this team right here, these people you're seeing on the screen, this is what makes GCPA work, or this is a huge part of what makes GCPA work. So for me to start something up here, I need you guys to come up here. Like I cannot imagine doing this with any other group of people. It is really a serendipitous or divine combination of people. And so, I mean, sure, I'll always keep my options open, but it would have to take the same kind of serendipitous. Can't see that happening anywhere else ever, because it's not just another performing arts organization. It's Paul and Lori and Stephanie and Christiana, and I could go on and on and on with names and names and names. It's you guys that make GCPA. So there's nothing else like it anywhere.
I'll tag in though, Rodney, if we do open another one in Oklahoma, you're hired. Rodney is one of my really good friends. So, and I actually joke with some of my friends in Oklahoma about expanding and taking over the world. So that would be great. But I think part of what makes GCPA what it is that it's so personal, kind of like Ashley was talking about. And yes, we want to grow. Yes, we want to expand. And I would never close the door on anything, but I would never want to lose the really personal feel that all of our programming has. We know all of the students that walk in the door. We know parents. It's just, we're a bigger organization than we were when we started, but I feel like we still function like we're small, and everybody who's a part of our programming is a part of our immediate family. So I'd never want to lose that, even if we do take over the world.
Absolutely. That's what makes us is that we know everybody. So
thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Dave is our board president. You'll have an opportunity to speak with Dave later on this afternoon during the 6 o'clock hour. At 6 o'clock, we've got a panel of GCPA supporters. And throughout the rest of the day, we have times where we're going to be getting our students together as well. 12, 12:30, 3, 3:30, 5, and then 9 p.m. We're going to have groups of students who are going to be talking about their experience here at GCPA. So before we sign off, I do want to ask. This is just going to be a rapid fire, gang. Let's go around the horn here. What are one or two of your favorite memories?
I miss you guys too.
What are one or two of your favorite memories in the last 6.5 years?
Don't ask me first.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
So first of all, this is a great example of the types of memories that we create, because we've got so many. It's difficult to narrow down to just one or two. Because I gave these questions to everybody yesterday to think about. Albeit it was late at night, so sorry. That's on me. But there are so many memories, and one of my favorite memories. I'll start. one of my favorite memories was the end of Violet.
Oh, I was going to say that. Dang it.
The storytelling that we put together with Violet, I feel it like I didn't know what to expect going into that story. I knew it was a very important story. I knew I was very excited to tell the story, but I had no idea the ride that we were going to go on. The cast did such incredible work, and because of the work and the storytelling that they all did, and what the ideas that they brought to the table, it just made that ending moment where Zion touches Caroline's face when she asks, what do you see when you look at me? And you had Ellie as young Violet sing Papa, Mama, why do men have hands? And he touches her face, and it, like, just that moment for me, every night, that's where I lost it. Every single night, and it was absolutely because of the ride that everyone that all of those students took us on. So that's one of my favorite moments, and I have so many more like that from shows and classes, but we don't have time for all of them. So who wants to go next?
Well, just hopping on that with the Violet, when they all get in that line and join hands at the end, it was just like, but one of mine, I think West Side Story is probably one of my favorites, similarly in the sense of the message that it brought across and how it was told, and those ending moments when when Skylar as Maria joined the hands of the little jet girl and the little shark girl
In
from in West Side Story, and they held hands. I was just like, and I just think it's wonderful that we get to share these stories. I mean, our what's it called? Hashtag, our logo, our tagline,
the story starts here.
The story starts here. And there are so many wonderful stories out there that we get to tell through these youth, and so many great messages that we get to share. So there it is. And there's so many moments I could name, but that's one of them that just I remember impacting me a lot. And that was one of our first. We had done 2 shows before that, but that was a huge undertaking. We kind of leaped from doing fun, yay, High School Musical and Hairspray shows to West Side Story. And it was this big turning point in the seriousness that we can share and the level of things that we can do. And I think it was steps towards all these others. We'd still do fun, and I love fun, don't get me wrong, but like just getting these important stories out there as well, and these serious stories was kind of like a turning point, I think, in our journey as a company.
Yeah, and it's fun too, because now we've kind of built a reputation with the students in the community about the types of stories that we're willing to tell, and particularly one of my favorite comments in regards to the summer high school production. One of our students was talking to her parents, and her parent tossed out an idea, and I forget what the idea of the show was. And she turned to her mom and said, "No, that's not angsty enough for GCPA."
For the high school summer show.
For the high school summer show.
That's funny. I think my favorite memories, well, I have 2. One's like serious and one's silly. It's probably our first Raise the Curtain. That was a fast and furious process to get that event together. But in the end, like, it was kind of the first time we saw our complete family of GCPA come together as one. And it was just a really special event, and it kind of really led to what all the future Raise the Curtains are going to be. And while they're super, super stressful, and during all of the important money stuff, I like to hide in another room and not be visible. Getting to see all of our kids get up and perform, getting to see all of our families come and be really supportive it's one of my favorite nights of the year. And then just a silly one, I think will be last summer at the end of the final Peter Pan, which was a long summer in process. We had finished the loadout, and outside of our venues, there's just this huge hill. Like when I say huge hill, it's a huge hill. And I had been wanting to roll down it since day one, and nobody would do it with me, and it hadn't happened yet, and I decided it was going to do so. And Christiana rolled down that hill with me. We have it on video somewhere.
I have it. I videotaped it. If anyone wants to see the hill view.
It kind of just highlights how like it's stressful and everything is always, you know, a rush to the finish, and especially those show weeks. But in the end, we really just have a good time and really like to enjoy the process, and that just kind of is a memory of mine, because summers are a lot. They take a lot of energy, and then it's, yeah, I love rolling down that hill.
Christiana, Ashley?
I have lots and lots of them. So I kept sitting here and I'm like, oh, which one's my favorite? I think one of my favorite times at GCPA, obviously, is the summer, just because there's so much packed into it. But there was one summer, I think it was Annie, where this is a funny memory. I'm going to give a serious memory in a second. So a funny memory. We had a sickness going around, Annie, and I think it just kind of peaked at the third Annie. That was like the first time that we did like a third kids summer show. So it was really hot, and we just had kids that were sick. And I think I was really proud of our families for kind of rallying around these kids. And, you know, each of us is like picking up vomit over here, or picking up vomit over here, and it was just kind of a really funny end to the summer. But the serious part of that, I think, is that watching our families rally around these kids and watching them rally around putting this show up, you know, no matter what the cost. It was just really, really awesome for me to get to experience that support from our parents, and just, you know, helping us in any way that they can. And so I'm always so grateful and inspired by our parents, especially during the Kids Mini Summer Show, just because they are they're super, super involved in it. I think they're really involved in a lot of our shows. But probably one of my favorite memories is watching that happen that summer. It was, although it was kind of a weird, kind of sometimes nasty situation.
I mean,
it was really inspiring. So. What'd you say, Paul?
I said it is vomit after all. I mean, that's
yes,
a messy situation.
Yes.
Stephanie's face.
I was hiding.
Does Ashley have?
Like that. Oh. Stephanie was hiding like that.
Wait, now she hit Ashley.
I didn't hit Ashley. That wasn't me.
There I am. Yeah, it's hard to think of. There's so many. I have so many memories. This is what comes to mind. I have so many memories of like my kids growing up in GCPA. I vividly remember Tally, my daughter, was about, I think, 4 or 5 months old, about the same age as Noah now. And I think it was West Side Story that I was house managing. And so, and I just, you know, we had people, like, obviously my husband could take her some, and we had friends who could help with her. But when we do a show, it's like all hands on deck all week long. So there were just some times where she had to come with me. And I remember I had the big headset on, and I had her wrapped up in a wrap on my body, and I was just running around house managing the show. And I would jump into the teacher's lounge to nurse her, and she would fall asleep in the wrap. But it was just so natural. It was such a natural extension of me at GCPA and who we are. And we would pass her around the green room and the actors would play with her. And, you know, she would start fussing and I would just go like this and somebody would take her. And like, there was always a set of hands. Sorry. And yeah, that's just, I have so many amazing, I have a picture of her sitting at the foot of the stage watching this row of actors as they rehearsed. And I have pictures of her in audition rooms and in rehearsal rooms. And yeah, it was just really special to have her be such a part of the GCPA family. And that's such a part of what our company is all about, is growing up kids in the arts. And I mean, if you've seen any of my pictures on social media or whatever, I mean, you know, my daughter is very creative and very over the top and expressive and artistic. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with GCPA and her being exposed to that from a young age. So I love that the company that we started with the mission to bring performing arts to young people has become such an extension of me and my family and my kids. And I know that that's true of a lot of our families as well. So I keep saying it's special.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Ashley froze. Well, gang, we said that we'd do this for maybe 20 or 30 minutes. It's been 45.
I'm sure we could talk for a long time. Do you want to tell them that we are already almost a third of the way to our goal?
We are, and it's scrolling there on the bottom of the screen. We're about a third of the way to our goal. We're trying to raise $7,500 today. Of course, if we exceed that, that's even more aid.
Should I tell them what you sold your acting class?
Yes, last
night
night my acting class asked, so what would it take for you to shave your head? And I told them if we raised $30,000 today.
20.
No, I said 30.
You said 20.
I said 30.
Oh.
But if we raise, either way, 20 or 30, if we raise,
well, you better determine that. He'll determine that for sure.
If we exceed our goal to that extent, if we raise between $20,000 and $30,000 here today, I'll shave my head. And so the students, I'm sure, are loving it. Yeah.
Like, what if it doesn't grow back, Paul?
It's a proper noun in this case.
Please, Lydia says, please don't shave your head.
Well, that will be determined upon the generosity of the community today. So don't shave your head. All kinds of comments coming in. Don't shave your head. Don't shave your head. Believe me, if we raise $30,000, I will gladly shave my head. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was gonna say, if they really don't want you, then say we have to reach 30,000, or you do shave your head.
No.
Let's leave it at 30,000, and I will.
Let's leave it.
But we're over $2,100, and that's due to your generosity today. So thank you so much for that, and you'll get to see absolutely all in.
Can you do something else? Everyone likes your hair.
And apparently, I didn't realize I had such lovely locks. I mean, they're thinner and thinner every day, but whatever.
And grayer.
And grayer every day. But you will get more opportunities throughout the day here today to hear from the students who your donations support. So at 12 o'clock, we have a session where it's called
Mini
Leads Part 1. So we've got some of our youngest artists who have played lead roles who will be joining us for a conversation at noon. And then at 12:30, I believe it's our alumni.
Oh no, it's gone.
Oh, now it's just since I've said we've gone up past $2,700, almost $2,800. Thank you so much for your donations. I think people are really trying to get me to shave my head.
Let's see.
Hey, if that's all it takes, let's do this. Let's get to 30. So we look forward to seeing you throughout the rest of the day. Paul shakes his head. And at 6 o'clock, you'll get to hear from some adults. We have some supporters of our work that are going to be talking at that time. So as a teaser, we've got a couple of our friends from New York who are going to be in. Ben Jeffrey and Jennifer Barnhart are going to be talking with us. And we also have some local celebrities in Lara Teeter and Larry Pry who will be joining us at that 6 o'clock hour.
And then some wonderful
parents and supporters. We've got Stephanie Schnook who's going to be talking with us here, as well as Dave Gant, our board president and GCPA parent as well. So you're going to get to hear from students, you're going to hear from parents, you're going to hear from professional artists about the impact that GCPA has on the youth in our community. So thank you so much for spending time with us here this morning. We look forward to seeing you throughout the day. And thank you for your donation so far. Let's keep working towards that goal, 7,500, or if we want to get really grand, 30,000, not 3,000, 30,000. 30000, and I will shave my head.
It's been recorded.
It's out there. It's 30K and Paul shaves his head. There we are. All right, gang. Thank you so much. We will see you later on.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Love you.